Hey y'all, it's Tony Mowery with Ropes and Wings, and I'm here with Chad Mowery from Greater Things. Is that correct? I got it
Howdy,
right.
guys. Yes, greater things
So,
with an eight instead of spelling it out. But
right. So Chad's a coach. Look up Chad. We can put his links in the description. So we're just getting together and shooting the shit like we always do weekly. So who knows what we're going to talk about, but we'll see where this road takes us today.
yes, sir. Life's a
Perfect.
journey, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. They say anyway.
That's correct. That's correct. So we'll read right out, starting off, right? Why don't you read
The
your
pivot year.
the pivot year?
I'm ready. I'm
Let's go.
ready, sir.
You got it this time.
Day 285 in the pivot year, by Brianna Wiest. In the end, we're all just seeking the courage to love what we really love, to choose what makes us truly happy, not what is enough, not what we only need to survive, not what other people say is the ideal. In the end, we are all just seeking the heart to decide our own lives on our own terms.
Hmm.
Short one today.
Yeah. So do you write any notes in there from that today?
Not much. What did I say? What awakens your heart?
Wow.
Was
And
all
that
I wrote.
and that's something that I'm constantly telling my daughter is is,
Mm.
is what makes you tick, what makes you happy. Just don't worry about what everybody else is saying or doing, whether people are looking at you or not. Who cares?
How do we stop worrying about that, Tony, or what causes us to worry?
I don't know. I guess we're always I guess for me and my daughter, I mean, we're probably really sensitive to what people think or emotional. We're always worried about what they're saying. How do we stop doing that? I don't know. I think you got to just,
No. Let me twist that. Not That's not the question. The question is what causes it, not
oh,
how
what
do we
causes it?
stop, but where does it come from and why? What is the why behind? And by the way, I think that's default. I think all humans tend to care deeply about what other people think.
Hmm. Do you
So
think,
why?
I think, I think a lot of it has to do with programming and our teaching.
Mhm.
We're constantly bombarded with how we should look, how we should act. I mean, even when we were growing up, our parents are telling us how we need, what we need to do, how we need to act.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that plays out.
Do you think we feel like, and I'm leading here because I have an opinion on this, but do you think that we feel like we ever measure up to that programming?
No, I think that's why it just keeps carrying on, and we don't feel like we measure up to it. We feel like we're not good enough, and we just constantly worry about that.
I agree. We feel like we're not good enough.
Hmm.
I believe that is why
Yeah.
we constantly worry about what other people think.
So then the question is why do we feel like we're not good enough?
Mm.
Hmm.
And I think you said it comes from the programming.
I think
I
it's
think you and I definitely, and even most humans would agree that, well, no, that's a load of bullshit. We are good enough. That's definitely a lie, right?
right.
Like, what could we possibly do to be good enough? Um,
I mean, with media and things, I mean, we're constantly bombarded with how people like we look at
mm,
people and think, well, that dude, he's ripped, he's cut,
hmm.
or he's got money, he's definitely better.
Comparison. Hmm.
Comparison always, and I think that's there for a reason though too, to keep us in that state.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, I think I may have shared this with you before, but it brings to mind something that I got from a motivational speaker, and I don't recall his name at this point, but He said the world seems to teach, society seems to teach that you first do,
Hmm.
which is about performance, then you have, you earn, you gain, finances or financial success or power or some other form of success or fame in the world's eyes,
Hmm.
which definitely in our society has an awful lot to do with money. And only after you do those two things can you really get at what I think we all want, which is being.
Hmm.
Being. Being is, happy, fulfillment, who we're designed to be, content. And we are told to some extent, all of our lives in our society, that you cannot be happy, etc., fulfilled until after you have done, worked fucking hard, and then you have earned and you have the money. And I don't think that's true either. I think that's a lie.
Hmm.
I think the truth is we need to focus on figuring out how to be,
Hmm.
which has an awful lot to do with letting go of the I'm not good enough gremlin
Hmm.
and learning to be happy, be fulfilled. And then, the doing, the having, either they don't matter at the end of the day because we're still happy and we can be without those things. But the other cool thing is that when we're being and fulfilled and happy without those things, then those things are easier to come by. Then
Hmm.
we do or work from a place of passion and love. And you and I have definitely talked about this and how I think this is how we're designed to work from a desire and a passion, not a have to or a must. Um, and then the having also comes more easily because, well, we could take it or leave it. And now suddenly we're ready to take risks that we weren't ready to take before because we were worried about trying to get ahead with the doing and the having. And we got just a little bit, some money, maybe a savings in the bank, but we're scared that we're going to lose it. And so we grab a hold and we try to hold on tight. And because we fear that we'll never be able to be happy and fulfilled if we lose what we have. And of course, we have to keep doing to try to get it. And, the truth is, that definitely doesn't make us happy. Most of us end up stuck feeling like we never done enough and we never have enough to be happy. And
Hmm.
so we're not allowed to be happy and we don't even try. We just think, oh, I got to do more. I got to have more. And most of us get stuck there, I think. And then the fewer people that earn a ton, become extremely famous and successful, well, guess what? They don't know how to be either, and then they're not happy. And we have high suicide rates among those folks. They're still deathly afraid of risk. They're scared of losing it all.
Hmm.
And yeah, the recipe is really ass backwards, so to speak,
Yeah.
fucked up.
And we work our ass off trying to get there, and then when you finally get to a point, or up in years, and you finally get to the point, and you're like, I wasted all that time.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you don't.
Decades go by now instead of years, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then you don't have time. You don't have time to be anymore because you've worked your ass off your whole life to try to get there to nothing.
Right.
It's like
You've used it.
it's
Hmm.
a carrot that's just dangled out in front of us the whole
Yeah.
time, that we're just chasing that carrot and
Right.
missing out on the now moment, missing out on just being. Um, and I struggle. I struggle with it
I think we
still,
all do.
still to this day.
I do too.
And and I definitely don't have a good formula, because I feel like we're constantly thrown back into that it's a slave system is what it is. I mean, we're constantly thrown back into the slave system
Hmm.
with bills and things that are required of us, or maybe they're not required of us, but that's just what we've come up with in our
We've
mind.
we've felt like or we believed they were required, maybe.
Right.
I don't know if we'll be able to see any of this.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Wonder if this
Yeah, B. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, but if I put it over here on the board,
Yeah.
can we see?
We'll just rotate your camera. We'll put it up there. B.
You can read it? Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. B.
Hey, that's working better than I thought. Yeah, this way. Can you read that one?
Yep. Have, be, have.
Have. And the last one's do.
Uh-huh.
So there's the formula. If you want to talk about a formula, I guess, right? But there's no formula for being, I
Yeah.
don't think. That's all in our mind and something we seek and learn.
Right.
Meditation, there's all sorts of things. So most people believe you have to do first, right? This is
Yeah.
the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I putting it? No, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
You're right.
I need to put a line here. So I can't tell where, when I'm looking over here at the board. First, you got to do, this is the hard fucking work. This is work your fucking ass off because you don't deserve it and you're not fucking good enough unless you really do this one big. This was big. This should have been a bigger card. And then once you do enough of this, then you're going to have, right? That's where the money comes in, the success, the fame. And then finally, I think the lie that we're taught is now you can be after you've got these covered. So most of us spend our lives dying right here. And we never even try to be because we think we haven't accomplished this first.
Right.
And so the speaker that I heard, he's saying, okay, the problem here is this is fucked up. Right. And so we need to take the B off and put it over here.
Yeah. Put it there.
This is number one.
B.
And if you figure this shit out, the rest of this doesn't even matter anymore. The doing, the having, it's just, you could take it or leave it in some ways, right? But the doing comes really naturally, I think, after you learn to be, because you just want to do that. You love, you care, the passion comes from inside, from your heart, right? Wow. Learning to be requires us to learn, I think, to live from our heart. And, once we've got that figured out, now we're going to want to do, we're going to put out love into the universe. And guess what? Since we don't care about the having so much, we trust and we believe that the world is an abundant place and what happens is supposed to happen. Suddenly, when we do get a little bit of have, we're ready to take the risk. We're ready to go for it. We're ready to go for it because we're coming from here first. This is where the confidence and the being comes from. And the doing is flowing naturally from the being. And it's love, and we're putting all this out into the universe. The risk doesn't matter because we're not worried about keeping this held tightly, right? I grew up in, you and I have talked about this, what I call a scarcity mindset, right? I'm scared. There's not enough to go around. I need to get it into my savings account quickly, right? And hang on because there's just not going to be enough otherwise. And that's why I say, okay, I want to believe the world is an abundant place. And so when I stop taking that approach to the stuff I have, suddenly I'm willing to work. I look at my resources and it's like, okay, I have been blessed with these resources. I'm going to use them for more doing because it's what I care about. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love. I'm happy. So it doesn't matter. So when we start taking those risks, that has a natural tendency to explode. So if you get the being first, chances are, doing's definitely going to come. Chances are you're going to have as well. But when you focus on believing that the doing comes first and the having comes second, and that's the only time you get to be, it just doesn't work. This is my theory. It's sort of the kingdom of heaven that Jesus talked about in my mind, right? This is my interpretation.
Right.
This is my faith right now, my belief. I have discovered what I believe to be this truth that most of us miss. And so I'm taking what I have today that I have earned all my life trying to hang on, and I'm living off of it. I'm casting it to the wind. I tip much bigger than I ever did with the scarcity mindset. I give, I love, I'm putting it out there, and I'm willing to waste it all of this, which was the pearl of great price I don't know if you know the parable of Jesus that he told about the kingdom of heaven, the pearl of great price and a treasure in a field is what he likened it to. And he said, the kingdom of heaven is like a pearl of great price that a man found, and he was so excited about it that he sold everything he had to buy it. So in my head, being is the kingdom of heaven. Being is the kingdom of heaven. And so I'm taking what I have today and
Hmm.
I'm spending it, or I'm getting rid of it, or I'm putting it all on the line to continue to be and to
Hmm.
believe that the world is an abundant place and that this is the way to live.
Hmm.
And I'm early on in this journey. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so, and I'm willing to risk what I have already
Yeah.
to find out.
Well, so when you're in that mindset, you're not, things just come to you. Things just flow to you when you're in just being.
Yeah, I think so. But if you're
I mean,
busy in this mindset,
right.
doing,
Hmm.
it's all fucking blocked up.
Yeah,
You're constipated. That is not healthy.
this is true. And and I think like the sessions that I do and your coaching sessions, we're helping people to figure that out all through the sessions, every session. The
Yeah, that's
the
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 goal.
the biggest message that comes through in every session is to just be.
Hmm.
Just
I,
live in the now and just be. Every session it comes through.
mhm. I
But
have a book over there on my shelf that's called "Stop Fixing Yourself," and it's a collection from Anthony DeMello.
uh
And I just love that title because I mean, most people don't believe this. I made a post about this a few weeks ago on Facebook, and a dear friend commented and he said, "Well, I'm constantly working on myself," which I sort of get. And it's good to change and learn. I'm not saying stop changing and stop learning. No,
right.
in fact, I would argue that when I've learned to be, I've changed the most.
Hmm.
That's what's really changed me because otherwise I was so stuck, so constipated, right?
Right, right, yeah.
But it was exactly the opposite message, right? It's like I'm busy fixing myself, and I just posted, "Stop fixing yourself."
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I'm constantly improving." And again, and he and I didn't have an in-depth conversation, so perhaps he meant it differently than I uh, understood or interpreted.
Hmm.
But I really believe we are very, very, very stuck in the mindset that we aren't good enough,
Hmm.
we're not doing enough,
Hmm.
and it's because we think we need fixed. We have to
Yeah.
do more. We have to fix ourselves. We're not enough,
Yeah.
which
So-
is the message, I think, of how we got over here on this tangent, which is why are we so worried about what other people think? Because we don't think we're good enough,
uh-huh.
because we don't know how to be.
Right.
We don't know how to love ourselves.
Right. And that formula for just being is different for everybody too.
I think so. I don't
I
think
think so.
that's where I throw out the formula, right? In a lot of
Yeah, there's no
ways, the formula is dangerous.
there,
I love
there is
formulas.
but there
I
is no
love
formula.
formulas.
There's no
I wish there was. I wish it
there's
was easier in a way. Like this all sounds easy, whatever.
yeah.
It's not easy. It's simple. It's not easy.
And well, it's not easy because we've been taught wrong. We've been
Yeah,
programmed wrong, and that's what's so hard
I think.
about it.
Yeah.
We have to actually install a new system in our computer to be able
Hmm.
to even function that way, and that takes work. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's
We
hard
need
to
a whole
do.
new. We need. I love that you were just talking about your computer being in the shop. So you need a whole new operating system, a brand new piece of software
Right,
that runs that hardware differently, I think. Yeah.
right,
Yeah, we got the same hardware. We all got the hardware. That doesn't need fixed.
right.
The software needs some reprogramming,
Reprogram it.
which is what I would call where, hey, let's shift these squares or these things around that they represent, right? Being is first.
Mm-hmm. And in some ways, reprogramming ourselves. God, I think I used this analogy before. We're in a state of hypnosis up until we're
Mm,
about around 7 years old.
you have mentioned that already, yeah.
So if a lot of that programming came when we were below that
Hmm.
age or in that state of hypnosis, you almost have to go into a state of hypnosis or meditation to be able to rewire
Mm-hmm.
the programming to install that new operating system.
Yeah, I mean,
It depends if there.
That's a great point, and it's because it's there, right? It's inside of us.
Hmm.
But how do we tap into that? And
Right.
I suppose for me, I spent my first 40 years not doing this, right? I
Right.
was in this mindset right here. Do have. And I had thought I was getting ahead, thought I was happy. I
Hmm.
didn't even know I was unhappy as or how much, you know?
Right.
I didn't think I was supposed to be happy, I guess. I thought that I was supposed to do more, that I needed to fix myself. There was all these
Hmm.
issues in me that I needed to fix, and I was working on them. I was
Hmm.
working hard. Uh, and my wife left, and that pain is what brought the truth to me. It's like I think these truths are around us.
Hmm.
Society's lying, but what does it take to, well, awaken somebody's heart?
Right. Well, and the signs, if you're not paying attention to the signs, they keep getting louder and louder and
Mm,
louder and louder until
hmm.
you actually pay attention. And
Yeah,
sometimes it might take a great tragedy or
a lot of
something,
pain.
a
Sure.
lot of pain to make that
Yeah,
happen.
right.
I mean, I really feel like we have a plan laid out when we come into this life, and
Hmm.
we laid down breadcrumbs or signposts. And then when we don't pay attention, the signs get louder and louder until we actually have to,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you get blurry there?
I got blurry. It seems like it sometimes helps, but whatever. I'm just a blurry blob. That's good. It's all right.
There's no fixing. You don't need fixed.
No, we don't need fixed.
I
So,
I still do struggle with that belief, but now that I'm aware
mhm,
of how that is so prevalent in the back of my mind all the time, and I use the word gremlin, and it's something I'm learning in coaching, training, and certification courses that I'm taking. They've named it a gremlin,
mhm,
and it just makes so much sense to me. And it's not it's my mind, it's my brain, part of this human makeup that says it and brings this message, but it comes from my programming, and it's not the same as who I truly am.
mhm,
And it's not helping me be. It's
mhm.
actually taken away from that. And so labeling it has helped me to become more aware of it, and then to, sort of fight against it, right? Or
Right.
argue back in a way, I guess. Or know what the truth is, that no, I'm enough, right? I've been
Yeah.
created, and I am where I'm supposed to be. If I wasn't supposed to be here, if I wasn't enough, then I wouldn't be in existence, I believe.
Right. Right. Our true authentic self doesn't need fixing.
Yeah. But I but most of us, I don't think we have that mindset. I
Mhm.
still struggle with the old one.
Yeah.
I'm working on the new one. I've made a lot of progress. I think it's a journey, but I definitely speak to a lot of people. Most people is we're just really stuck. We're
Hmm.
so stuck. And young, right?
Yeah.
Young people, I didn't realize this till I was 40. So, 41, I think, is when my ex
Mm.
left. So that's when it sort of started for me. Um,
And
which happened to correspond with COVID and maybe some other changes in our world, huh?
yeah. And that, it applies so much because my daughter, she's now 20, and constantly that's what she says. I'm not worthy of this.
Mm.
I don't I don't feel like I deserve this.
Yep.
I'm like, goodness gracious. Of course, we're talking about a boy, but she's constantly saying that. I don't feel like I'm worthy of it. I don't feel like I should have that. Oh, I'm sorry that I might have led you astray.
Mm.
You are
Yeah,
worthy of it.
I feel that too, Tony.
Yeah.
Because I spent 40 years in the wrong direction there. But
Mm.
yeah, this one right here, we think it's supposed to be over here.
Nope.
We believe if we do enough and have enough, then that will tell us, validate us that it's okay to be, to accept who we are and that we're enough and we have become, and has nothing to do with the doing and having.
Hmm.
I don't know how, I don't, well, I guess there is no best way to break the mindset because there's no formula, right? There's
No.
come along with whatever people are brought into our life path, and try to love them and share, and
Right.
that's kind of all we can do, attempt things like hypnosis and coaching. But they've got to be open to it.
Mhm. Right.
And I
It's
certainly wasn't for my first 40.
right. No. And I mean, I think it's probably since I've been doing hypnosis sessions and stuff that I just am more aware of how we are supposed to be or
Mm.
how we
Hmm.
should be living.
Hmm.
And but it's still a constant struggle because we get sucked into it, back
Mm.
into it all the time.
Yeah.
And and it feels like a constant fight. And it really doesn't, it shouldn't be a fight at all. Just to
Well,
stay there. It should be easy
mhm.
to
The
stay there.
physical world and our society, I think, is always giving us the opposite message, right?
Right.
If the mortgage is due and we don't have quite enough, or we're worried about having enough, suddenly we feel like we are not enough because we don't have.
Hmm.
But that's going back to the old mindset of, oh, well, in order to be enough, I got to have these things covered.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly trying to suck us back in, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and it is deceptive,
Yeah.
convincing.
Well, I mean, there's a big example of that too. We see all these things in my hypnosis sessions. I don't know about much of coaching because I don't really coach that much, but in the sessions, after someone has a session, the mind is constantly saying, "You made that all up," or "How do I know I didn't make that up?"
Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah.
and the mind is constantly, like, even with dreams. I mean, I think dreams to me are memories of things that have happened to us at some point or another. But maybe the mind doesn't understand everything that it's shown, so it plugs in things that it understands and makes the dream all convoluted, and then it doesn't make sense because
Hmm.
so
Okay. Yeah.
but like after a session, like I tell clients though too, is the mind is constantly fighting with you to make you think or make you feel that you made it all up. It's your imagination. What did our parents tell us about our imagination? If we saw something or whatever, it's just your imagination. Just go back to bed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was a prominent message, I think, right? Of
right,
of children. We're like, oh, no, children have a fantastic imagination.
right, yeah. And so, but imagination is really, I believe, our true self. Um, it's not really an imagination.
Right.
You're able to see a dimension or reality outside of this reality.
Hmm.
I mean, I even think that most of the science fiction books and stuff, those people are channeling from memories.
Mm.
I really
I got
think
you.
so.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how much. I mean, I know there's two kind of schools of thought in some significant ways that I see, and one is that we have it all inside of us, and that would fit up with the memories I think that you're pointing out that are potentially already in there.
yeah,
And then there's another thought. Well, we can take outside guidance from potentially the creator or the spirit or spirits.
hmm,
And of course, there's the Christian biblical teaching and probably some other religions as well that the spirit can live inside of us.
hmm,
Um, so I guess both in a way. It comes from somewhere that we can't explain. It comes from inside that we can't. It takes something special to tap into that, slowing down, hypnosis, whatever, a lot of different ways, but it's not immediately, easily, logically accessible,
hmm,
but it's there.
hmm,
And yeah, I agree. And now I think I've heard also along the dream line, the belief, the theory that the reason dreams don't make sense is because they're often symbolic rather than literal.
yeah.
So
And,
that's another possible explanation for how strange they can be.
and and that too. I mean, I always love to ask in the sessions. Always love to ask questions of the higher self. Well, what did this dream mean? Especially the reoccurring ones that
Okay,
people have,
yeah. Mm,
and
yeah.
the meanings that you get from a dream and why they're seeing it is it's just it's fun. I mean, it's fun for me to hear. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. That's pretty crazy. Um, so that's always interesting.
Very cool. Yeah.
But our mind is constantly fighting with us. Our conscious mind is constantly fighting with us, making us, I guess making's not a proper word because we choose to do that. And we choose not to believe what comes in meditations or
Hmm.
hypnosis, or
It's
even
almost,
even in your coaching session. We choose not to listen to ourselves because
yes.
because
Well,
it, because the conscious mind goes, well, that doesn't make sense. That seems too easy,
hmm or
right?
and then the mind is bringing up the gremlin of you're not enough.
You're not
You're not good
enough,
enough. That message, that lie, right?
right?
It's almost like it feels like, okay, we've got a brain, which is mostly what I'm equating to a mind. And I don't, and these are sort of theories to some extent, I guess, beliefs that I have. And I'm not an expert in the chakras and, all of those things. But uh, the mind seems to be a powerful part of the human machine
Hmm.
that we are. And it's very logical and analytical
Hmm.
and very good at trying to solve problems
Hmm.
in a logical, analytical way, a rational thought kind of way. And so that's the good side, but it also seems to want to take over, fight with us,
Hmm.
and spin in circles, right? And figure everything out, things that we cannot figure out, things that I don't think we're meant to figure out.
Hmm.
The
And
formula, right? The formula for everything. And then there's some sort of really cool spiritual thing to life that's full of love and passion and joy and fun and is somewhat irrational, perhaps even.
hmm. So the mind could be, I mean, just like we said, we have to change the operating systems. The mind's a computer, basically.
Yeah.
It's a supercomputer. We're only using what 10% or 20% of what it's capable of. And that's why we always say, or people always say, you need to follow the heart
Mm,
because the
yeah.
heart is faster, and it's proven through research that the heart is faster, and we have a connection through the heart space that the brain does not for some reason.
Hmm. Yeah. It gets into that very spiritual woo woo
Yeah.
area. And yet I believe this.
Right.
There are so many things that I don't think I can ever begin to understand, and I'm not supposed to,
Mhm.
but I still believe them.
Right.
I've felt it in the heart, and I have found it to lead me in what appears to be the right direction,
Hmm.
and I don't know how that happens. I think women are a little more naturally gifted in this area than
They are,
men tend to be.
and every one of our sessions, young people and women are more connected in the heart space, more connected
Mm,
than you or I, and it's easy for them. A guy's mind tends to be more analytical and questioning and
hmm
trying to figure stuff out all the time, and we don't really lead out of the heart space. We're told not to.
hmm
We're told not to share those emotions. We're told not to cry, we're not connected in the heart space like a woman is, or
mm,
and and that's something that we need to get back, because we need as men to start connecting in the heart space more,
yeah, I like that.
and it makes us more
Remind
power.
ourselves and our children.
Right.
How do I remind my children? What do you feel? What do you feel inside? What do you feel
Right.
in your heart?
Right.
Wonder if that would also be pretty helpful in helping them to realize that inside and what they feel is part of being and worthy.
Yeah.
It's a recurring message I could try to deliver. I don't know. It's just a thought there.
Yeah. It's it's hard to tell someone to feel out of their heart space too, I think.
Well, and as a parent, we have an opportunity to sort of use some phrasing over and over again, right?
Right,
Like
right,
my children are well acquainted with the world is an abundant place now.
right. So how do we reprogram the program that we've been running for so long with our kids? You
Well,
know,
the best thing and the first thing is for us to do it in us first, right?
right, yeah,
That's number one.
and run by example,
Hmm. Yeah.
lead by example,
Yep.
and then they see it and they can do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been
But I
prac. Go ahead.
I definitely see my kids get stuck in that well, and other people get stuck in that questioning. But what if this and what if that? And they bring all these rational, logical arguments and points and stuff when they're trying to make a tough decision sometimes, or they're worried about something.
Hmm.
And I just want to, yeah, how can I, like, it's not really helpful for me to argue with them because that goes in immediately to fixing and me trying to help them see something. And,
Right.
what questions can I simply ask and say, what do you feel
Well,
in your heart?
that question that you asked is, how do you feel?
Hmm.
What do you feel?
Hmm. What do you feel? And probably at first they're going to say, I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but I wonder how much progress, how much blockage, like, so there's blockage in the way of that, right? There's a block in the way. We're stifling our heart. We're blocking that energy or that flow or something. We talked about constipation. So how do we help free that up or help someone to see the blockage and help them free it up because they need to, they have all the answers. It's a path they're walking.
Hmm.
Um, but if we can help them see the block, and so if I, and I'm using a very logical argument here, I'm thinking out loud, huh?
Hmm.
Uh, which again, the brain is useful in so many things, but not
Right.
always. But if I keep repeating the message of, well, how do you feel? What do you feel inside?
Hmm.
Can you feel an answer? What answer do you feel inside? If we could put aside all of the logic, all the points, all the fears, can we get to what you feel?
Hmm.
And even if it doesn't work the first couple of times, certainly a recurring thing. It's a practice as well. And you know what? It's a practice because you know what? That's what I need to ask myself
Yeah.
more often, right?
What do you
Rather
feel?
than like, oh, well, how much is that going to cost? Oh, wait, that's a scarcity thing again.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
So, well, I mean, I guess I've been kind of, but using muscle testing to make decisions and stuff. That's kind of practicing what do you feel? That
yeah.
you're letting your body tell you what the answer is because we
Hmm.
have all the answers.
Now you have to turn everything into a yes, no to do that, I guess. But
True, but it works. I mean, it's good practice to do muscle testing to help you to make decisions. I guess it helps you to trust your intuition more.
hmm
Um,
yeah, maybe
because
it's a
if
way to figure out how you feel, how your body feels.
right, I wonder.
That's interesting, Tony. I know you've mentioned this to me before, and the last time I was down there just last week,
Yeah.
we talked about this, and I kind of tried it, and I thought it worked. Prior to that, I didn't think it would work for me, or didn't work.
Hmm.
And of course, I've kind of forgotten about it since. Not completely, but it's slowly dwindling, and I'm glad you're bringing that back up because I would like to sort of put it to the test a little bit more in my own life.
Tiny habits, brother. Tiny habits.
I could add it to the list, the morning
That
list, right?
we probably should.
Do
Well, I
one
mean,
quick muscle test every morning.
right? And um, well, I wonder if that, maybe you could add it to the morning list is like you have a decision to make what you're going to do today or something. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there. Do I do I walk the dog or do I go for a bike ride?
Or even things like you said, you ask yourself your name or something
Right.
that you
Just
already know the answer to in your rational mind and is
mhm.
pretty clearly true. For me, it's such an not really having practiced that, um, go ahead and try some of that even as a tiny habit, right?
Right.
If I add this as a daily habit, that would be a very useful practice, and certainly it's going to grow from there. I'm going to go ahead and ask myself and find it working in the hey, what's my is my name Chad? Yes or no? My name is Chad, I guess is how we'd phrase it. Yes or no? I get a yes, then I ask it something false.
Mm.
Is my name Matt? And as long as it works, now the natural temptation desire is going to be like, all right, cool, this is working. What am I going to apply this to? What else can I try?
So my father-in-law the other day, we were up in the field because I've been trying to fix his solar pump and other things, and we were talking. I was talking about I got about opening the gate for the cows. He probably wondered what the hell I was doing because I'm like, I don't know if I should open the gate for the cows, and I just go, nope, we're gonna leave it today. It's gonna be good today. So he probably never knew what I was doing, but I just used muscle testing real quick because it was a decision that needed to make,
Mm-hmm.
and
And it,
I went that.
and sometimes I guess one of the things that's popping into my mind as you say that is I I grew up with another programming that
Hmm.
I have to figure everything out. I got to make a decision, and I need to make the right decision.
Hmm.
And I think there's so many things in life that there is no right or wrong decision. You make a decision and you learn from it, right?
Hmm.
Did it work? Did you notice something that didn't work about it? So the next time you're going to do it a little differently. Make a decision, learn from it. And of course the fear of that programming of needing to make the right decision, and of course fearing that I'm not adequate or I'm not this, and so I got to get it all right. This all
Hmm.
ties back in my head to this thing. This getting it all right is part of the doing. And so that fear then slows me down from making decisions as well, right? And of course slowing that your decisions down, constipation, and also keeps you from having, right? Because it doesn't flow naturally, and you move more slowly because you're busy wasting. Well, I don't want to use the term wasting. You're busy fighting your brain and running it around in circles, trying to see if you can figure out what the right decision is and avoid the wrong decision.
Hmm.
And man, I find that that's so unhelpful in
Hmm.
most of life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hey,
maybe muscle testing is like a faster way to tune in, tap into the body to make that quicker decision.
I like it. It's a possibility.
I think, intuition is following your heart. And if, some people get messages and stuff like that, but
Sure.
if they're not able to tap into the inner space and get those messages, muscle testing would be the way for them to do that.
Potentially, or a start, perhaps, right?
Mhm.
But I think if you start doing that and becoming confident in that,
Yeah.
this is my logical again, right? And I'm
Right.
very rational, and it's not a bad thing. It can be unhelpful. But in my head, I'm thinking, all right, if you do muscle testing a lot, you're also going to feel the rest of your body.
Mm.
And so if you do muscle testing a lot and more, I think you're going to naturally start to notice other things going on in your body when you ask yourself a question.
Right.
And the decision is just going to be there. And so I think you're going to evolve and not need the muscle testing potentially, right? Because you're just going to know and you're going to
Right.
do.
Right.
And then I think that's people that get messages and a lot of things like that.
And
Often that's because they have practiced and cultivated some of these things.
right. And I think so too. I think muscle testing is an easy entryway into
Yeah.
starting to follow your intuition more.
Yeah, I agree.
Not really giving the brain time to, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen and I need to do this maybe possibly instead, but then you never ever make a decision because you don't know which is the right decision. There's no right or wrong. But yeah, I think that's a good way to practice that. That probably should be put in our daily practices is using that more. And you're right. The more you use it, you won't have to do that physical thing to do that anymore, because you're going to be tuned into your body and how it responds to different things.
Right.
I mean, you could actually be, feeling goosebumps, or I have a constant ringing in my ear. But that ringing changes, like it'll all of a sudden go quiet.
Huh.
And when it does, I pay attention.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
pay attention to what's okay. So what is, I wish they were a little clearer with the messages, but I try to pay
Yeah.
attention with what's going on, maybe what I'm thinking about, or what is the message when that happens, because there's a definite change there. Is I just try to pay attention to see what it is.
Right.
And the same thing when I see a reoccurring number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just paying attention to what is going on at the time, maybe what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling at the time,
Mm-hmm.
because these are all messages and signs. And it's different for everybody. You can't just, like, for numbers, you just can't look up numbers and say this is what it means when you see these numbers. So when you first started on this the be do have, I saw the numbers 222, and I'm like, yeah, we're on the right track.
222.
Yeah, so that's what I saw, was 222. I saw it on the time. I looked at it. I'm like,
Oh,
I just laughed and said, "Oh yeah, we're on the right track here now."
okay.
That's the message.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it was a
Okay.
good topic, Chad. We're rolling with it.
A good tangent. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it's good. And people struggle with that, and like we said, the hard part is trying to reprogram, put in a different operating system. Because you and I both were raised the
Hmm.
same way, and following our
Yeah.
intuition was not.
No.
No,
That was evil, pretty
that
much.
that was, yeah, pretty much evil. And something you said a while ago, people are looking outside of themselves for the answers from God, from angels, stuff like that. I think we need not to look at it as looking outside of ourselves, because
Mm-hmm.
we're connected. We're
Hmm.
part of God's source. We're part
Mm-hmm.
of all the uh, higher frequency beings and masters, but we're actually getting the answers from inside,
Hmm.
from ourselves, because we are part of that. We are that. We are one. But that's where us being raised in a Christian church, that was not. You're always to look
No.
outside. You're always to look for God there, the answers, or wait for Jesus to save you, and Jesus can only do the healing. And mm, I don't. I think we're just like Jesus, Yeshua. I don't like to use the word Jesus, but um, we're just like him. That we could do anything that he could do.
Certainly, and that programming is still strong in me, right? And I don't know, I don't have all the answers, but
Hmm.
certainly the scriptures come to mind where Jesus obviously proclaimed that he was the Son of God, and he also then taught that we were his family, his brothers and sisters, were
Hmm.
adopted as sons and
Hmm.
daughters of God. We are of God.
Hmm.
And so, yes, we are sons of God.
Hmm.
And he also specifically said that we, his followers, disciples, would do greater things than he had done.
Hmm.
And of course, that's where my name comes from, actually,
Right.
from that scripture. Greater things.
Ch Chad. Oh, well, Greater Things than that. I thought you meant
Greater
you.
things.
I thought your name meant
Oh,
your
you were
name,
thinking of
Chad.
Cloud Chatter. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, no. Oh, sorry. No, my coaching
you're
business,
Greater Things.
adventure, whatever you want to call it, is Greater Things. And it specifically came originally from that sort of crazy thing in the minds of me growing up as a Christian that Jesus said, right? That I'm
Hmm.
going to do greater miracles than he did. I mean, shoot, he raised the dead and walked on water and, created food out of nothing and turned water into wine and healed people. Like, he said we were going to do greater things. What does that mean? Well, of course, most Christians in label, at least in the evangelical Christian church or circles that you and I grew up in, are going to have an elaborate explanation of why we aren't doing miracles or actually doing greater things than Jesus, because we're not,
because we can't.
yeah, equal and whatever. But they also think we shouldn't, I think, right? They're
Right.
skeptical of anybody that can do these things, right? When they hear
Right.
stories of people that have done those things, they're very skeptical. I think, well, our society is pretty skeptical too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to be skeptical, and we're proud of that for some reason.
So was Yeshua, Jesus, was he actually healing the people, or was he just giving them, holding space for them to heal themselves? Hmm.
Uh,
I mean, us as healers, that's all we're doing. We're not actually the healers. They are the healers, and we're just holding space for them and help
well,
guide them to where they need to find it.
we're also all one, so
Hmm.
then we're the healer and the healed as well
Right.
in some at some level, right?
Uh,
So, um, yeah, I guess it doesn't. There's some ways that I would say, it doesn't matter.
mhm.
That's semantics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think with your coaching, with hypnosis, with we're helping people to find their root cause of their issues.
Mm-hmm.
We're just holding space for them, helping them to find it.
Or the
Um,
block. Yep.
right. And,
What's blocking?
like I say about hypnosis is, I'm just giving them or helping them find the footholds in their pile of shit so they can get over the top and see what's out there that they don't need to be in this shit,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in a sense. Working with entities too, that's the kind of thing that I do with the entities as well, as I have the angels help me to show them that they don't need to be doing this. They don't need to be living this way anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That there's another way.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I mean we're helping them to find that. So we're helping to guide them to find how they can be.
Yeah. Yeah. And get past the block, whatever's
Yeah, whatever's
hindering
blocking.
their life today, primarily, and
And,
um,
and there's infinite possibilities of what could be blocking them from
right.
being able to see it. I mean, from emotional trauma to, in my line of work, attachments and entities
Mm-hmm.
blocking that flow of energy, keeping you from being able to be. So there's so many things that could be blocking you too.
Yeah. No, I agree. Certainly. Yeah. I mean, we do the same thing in a lot of ways, or endeavor to do the same thing, and it's just a
It's,
different approach,
mhm.
perhaps.
It's just trying to get people, help guide people down to the very root cause of
Yes.
how it started, what happened.
Yep. So they can see the answer because I believe the answers are inside of them, right?
Right,
They have
right.
the answers. They're the expert on themselves, and they're part of
Hmm.
all of us, part of God in some way. And so we're worthy. We're already worthy,
Hmm.
and it's helping them see that a lot of times, or help them see what they're missing, so that they can find the answers. They have the answers. They're just
Hmm.
a little stuck.
Yeah.
They don't know they have the answers. And this sounds ludicrous. I didn't used to believe any of this shit.
Nor I. Well, I mean, I was always the black sheep of the deal. I didn't really like,
Right.
I didn't want to follow that path, but it just didn't make sense to me at all.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yet still, there's that trauma associated with that fear-based control. I don't know what else to
Yeah.
call it. Like I think I told you that
Which turns into a block.
yeah, it turns into a block. And I think I told you when I started on this uh, remembering journey. I don't like to call it an awakening because then you have the woke and unwoke. I'm just remembering. I'm just
Oh,
remembering how we used to do. But um, when I first started on that, and I listened to some things, and I realized that what I was taught was not completely true or wrong or a lie. My lower back pain just disappeared.
yeah, you mentioned that.
And and so that was a block that I was holding unknowingly
Hmm.
because of what the way I was taught in that belief system as I was afraid, even though I kind of didn't really want to go with that kind of
Right.
teaching, but yet
Hmm.
still hell, I didn't want to go to hell or something like that. But
Hmm.
and now seeing that that's not true at all. It just the back pain just disappeared just like that, just released.
Hmm. Yeah. And that was not hypnosis.
No,
You came into
no,
hypnosis later.
yeah, I came into hypnosis later, but and that was just because um, a guy was going over the law of one, the channeling from the 80s from the and it all made sense. I'm like, holy shit, this is not true. This is not true.
And now I think you were experiencing, I mean, you already mentioned your physical back pain that you had, which was a way of life, I guess. But I think you had shared that you were also experiencing a lot of emotional pain in that at that time in your life that had become greater than ever before. Is that correct?
Hmm. Oh, when I came on to that too, or no?
When you've had that spiritual experience, what did you just call it? I want to say awakening again because I still
Well, awakening, whatever. Remembering. I always
remember
I like to say remembering because we're just
that
remember.
spiritual remembering. Um, what? Yeah, like I'm leading again, right? I'm trying to draw a correlation. I feel like in my case, it was the pain of my ex leaving
Yeah.
that started me down the path of awakening or remembering. And I was thinking that it seemed like you had a lot of pain in your life that finally pushed you to that point as well.
A-
Um,
Actually, it was around Rona time,
hmm.
and it wasn't pain or pain that I had. It was I felt like depressed. I felt anxious. I felt fearful. I felt worried. And I'm like, this can't be mine. I don't know why in the world. I have no reason to feel this way. Why do I feel this
Hmm.
way? And
Hmm.
I think my buddy had said, dude, it's probably not yours. It's everyone else's.
Okay.
You're feeling, we're all connected. You're feeling what everybody else is feeling. And so that sent me down the rabbit hole to find this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's what kind of started it off. It wasn't really a pain or something that I
Well,
experienced.
emotional,
Yeah, it wasn't.
unpleasant emotional
I mean, yeah,
feelings,
I guess
perhaps. I
it,
don't
it
know.
was it was unpleasant emotional feelings, but then I figure out it's not really mine. It's everybody else's
I got you.
because I had just moved to Tennessee not too long ago, and everything is actually really going pretty good. And then Rona hit, and you're like, what the is going on in the world?
Hmm.
And then you start looking to find
Hmm.
out.
Hmm. Interesting.
So I didn't think I was very old then, but I couldn't figure out why in the world I felt weighted down, bogged down, tired, all that stuff.
Okay.
So I guess it was some of my feelings that I had.
That's what pushed you to the edge, though, and started you seeking. I know from
Yeah,
my case, it was pain, and I say pain. It wasn't physical pain.
emotional.
It was emotional pain
Hmm.
of I call it mine, I guess, and of my ex-wife leaving, but um, we choose to take it on, right?
Hmm.
Or at least in those cases, we do.
Yeah.
I created my own mental and emotional suffering with the stories I told myself about my inadequacy.
Hmm.
I wasn't doing enough, hadn't
Yeah.
figured it out, and I didn't know how to be. Um, and so I was hearing those messages of her rejection as you're not enough, right? You fucked it up, man. You don't know how to do this. You're not worthy. It's the same fucking message.
Right.
The same message. And
Right.
I blame it on her leaving, but it's the same message, because when she leaves, or anybody leaves or is taken out of our lives, whether we, that's just the channel that message uses to sort of take over or become strong in our life. It's still a message in my head that I start latching onto and believing, and then it just drags you down. You spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I'm really confident in being and who I am and happy, then I can experience loss, rejection, and I don't believe that message that attempts to come in that says, "Hey, you're not enough, Chad. You got to fix yourself.
Yeah.
You're broken." And when I refuse to believe that message, then I don't experience the same pain
Mm-hmm.
and trauma, because I know that I'm enough.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it would help well, it does help to reframe negative thoughts that come into our mind. Because I mean, that's said a lot in hypnosis sessions too, is reframing the thoughts, the negative thoughts that come in,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
change them, and say, this is a lie, this is not true, and reframe the thought into what
Yeah.
it, what you need to see, make it a
I think
more
it's a
more
I think it's
positive
a
thought.
I think it's a very useful practice.
Hmm.
It's how I ended up getting through and finding healing and happiness and learning to be,
Hmm.
was by a painful process of coming to the truth that, oh, I am enough.
Yeah.
And the reason I feel so shitty about her leaving is because it sounds like the message is I'm not enough.
Hmm.
And so it took a lot of reframing. It felt sometimes like manual effort. Like I had to, you and I have talked already about the spoken word. So there's power in
Hmm.
sometimes speaking something out loud. So sometimes when the message I heard was, "You will never be happy again," Joni, it was, I shouldn't share her name probably on this. That would be better to leave that out. But I guess it's easy to find anyway. It's public information. My ex-wife, her rejection that says, or sorry, I had the thought that, okay, I will never be happy again. My happiness was tied up in that other person.
Hmm.
And I had to tell myself, sometimes out loud, no, I will be. I will find another partner. I'm enough, right?
Hmm.
And my happiness is coming from me and inside of me. It's feelings that I have because of the way I tell the story of what the other person means to me, right? Like
Hmm.
I feel good feelings when the falling in love feeling that we talk about sometimes. Those are all emotions that are inside of us. We create those. They don't come from the other person. It
Hmm.
comes from our story that we tell ourselves about the other person,
Right.
which of course is why it's so important not to go on the the criticizing train in our partner relationships, right? And not to think that they're going to make us happy, because
Yeah,
down we go.
it's not from them, it's from us. We choose to feel that way. We don't need to choose to feel that way. We don't need to.
It's in there.
Yeah. So reframing everything is important. Everything that we say
Totally. I
negative. I mean, even like I just had a birthday. So, even the thought, I will not say that I'm getting old. I am getting younger. And
Yeah.
I am. I truly feel that I am. I do feel like I'm getting younger. I feel more vibrant now than I have in a long time.
I do too. I still have that belief in the back of my head. Well, that's just temporarily because you lost weight and
Right.
freed yourself from the dead weight of, I'm tempted to say my ex-wife, but that's not true. The dead weight was me and my
Mhm.
belief that I needed to do and have so that I could be. And when I finally come to the truth that that is a lie,
Yeah.
that's the dead weight that is gone. And it had nothing to do with my partner.
Hmm.
It had everything to do with me.
We're powerful creator beings, and the tongue.
Yes.
I just saw a video the other
Yes.
day that the tongue is a magic wand,
Okay. Yeah. I
and
like
and
that.
and basically the words we use are spells. That's why they call it
Hmm.
spelling. So no matter whatever we say about us or
Right.
anybody else, we're casting a spell on ourselves or them. whatever we say. So I do watch what I say about other people now
Yeah.
because I
And
don't.
you know what? That makes me think of scripture. Jesus
Yeah.
said that too, right? The things you bind on earth and pronounce with your words, and the things you loose on earth, like that's the way it is. That's the way
Mhm.
it's going to be. It's like
Right.
I think we dismiss that as a Christian church because we don't see us really acting like that's really all that
You,
important. But
you're better at quoting scriptures than I am because I just didn't pay attention.
well, I went to Bible college too
Oh,
voluntarily, so I
oh my.
spent some extra time uh, learning. You know, trying to. I was trying to make so what you said doesn't make sense to you, and you just kind of walked away from or tried to until you finally faced that. Okay, there's some default things that I believe inside that I have to stop believing. Right? I don't believe they're true.
Mhm.
For me, I instead tried to make sense of everything, and I built this whole system and thought I had it all figured out. And then when my ex-wife left, it kind of all collapsed, and I went back to the drawing board because in my heart, I meant well. I wanted to do good and do right, and I thought that was enough, but I thought that I still had to do, and so yeah, it just all collapsed, and I had to,
Right.
and I tore some of it down, right? I tore down some of my beliefs and said, all right, where did that come from? And
Mhm.
um, discovered that I had no idea where many of them came from, except that that's what I always heard, what I was always taught, right?
That's what we were taught. It's got to be true. Yeah.
Powerful to say, to become aware of a lie and to pronounce the truth.
Hmm.
I do that a lot in my life.
Well, that's an example. An example was a thought maybe that comes in and said, I don't know, just talking about the birthday there. Instead of saying that I'm
Yeah.
old, I'm getting younger. I'm more vibrant.
Yep.
Whatever. Just change it. Change it. We don't have to.
I like that phrase right there, Tony. I'm
It's
more
a,
vibrant than I've ever been. That's more people will find that believable
right.
than the other one. And maybe that's just me and my lack of faith that I'm literally getting younger and gonna live forever or something. But um,
I,
I
I
I
have,
do definitely feel more vibrant than I have in my ever that I remember at least, right? I don't know about
yeah.
past lives, but
And of course, I'm not back to the goal of being feeling like I'm 30 again, but um, we're working that way.
gotcha. Okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But the vibrancy thing
Yeah.
that I feel really like now,
Hmm.
yeah,
It's awesome.
great.
It's
Well,
awesome.
hey,
We've been talking for about an hour.
we have
Why
a
don't
long time.
we should wrap this up so it's not too long. And I guess we will put our links to each one of us down in the description or in the profiles. And you can get a hold of us, schedule a coaching session with Chad, schedule a hypnosis session with me. And we love you all. We're just two guys just shooting the shit, trying to figure out, learn just like everybody else.
Yeah,
So,
we're each on our path, where we're meant to be, as are each of you that hear this, and we're all just learning together, and
absolutely.
yeah, lots
Any
of love.
any final words, Chad? Or
Just
was that
that.
that your
Lots
final
of
word?
love. That's the final word. Lots of love.
Be and just live in the now.
Mm.
Sometimes that is easier said than done, but that's the best way to be. Be and live in the now.
Yeah.
Love it. Love you all. We'll see you again soon.